Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, October 25th, 2014. This is episode 1129. Enjoy. The Tech Guy is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used iPhone, iPad, or other Apple product is worth at Gazelle.com. And by Citrix Go to Assist. Citrix Go to Assist offers a secure, cloud-based solution for IT and customer support professionals to provide live or unattended remote support to their employees and customers working from any computer or mobile device. For a 30-day free trial, visit gotoassist.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hey, how are you today? Time to talk about computers. Really, do we ever talk? Yes, I guess. We talk about computers. The internet, we talk about that a lot. Smartphones, that's probably the number one topic of the show. Anything with a chip in it. A little later on, half past the hour, home theater with our home theater guru, Scott Wilkinson. We talk about digital photography, the new digital world. That's what this show is all about. If you'd like to ask a question, make a comment, make a suggestion, you would be more than welcome, my friend. Merely dial up 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. Easier to remember, 8888 Ask Leo. Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, will answer your call, say hello, and channel you into my brain so we can have a conversation. So I don't know what to talk about in this beginning segment. There's too many things. I have the new Samsung Galaxy Note 4. Very impressed. Pluses and minuses, but overall a superior phone, and I'm seeing a lot of people with them. I just came back from Austin. We had a little get-together at the hotel on Thursday night, and a lot of people had, a surprisingly large number had a Note 4. So I can talk about that. Google has reinvented email in a way that I think is quite good, quite interesting. It's a new app for iOS and Android and the web called Inbox. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. But I guess I have to show you what I just got in the mail, because that's part of the tradition of this show is the new shinies. As you know, Apple announced a new iPad Air 2 a little more than a week ago. They also announced the slightly updated iPad Mini. This is an Air 2. So they've apparently started shipping. I think I've heard that they were in stores as of a couple of days ago, if you want to take a look at them. I want to say right up front, just based on the specifications and the cost, that you should not feel any, I think, urgency to buy an iPad Air 2. There are some improved features. It is certainly faster. In fact, we're starting to see benchmark results from these devices that show it's, in some cases, twice as fast as last year's Air. But did you feel, honestly, that last year's Air was slow? I didn't. So, it's thinner. 1 millimeter thinner. Does that matter? I don't think so. And by the way, when you shave a millimeter off, you shave a significant area off the battery. And some of the early reviewers are mentioning that the battery life is lower, but still 10 hours, which is probably all anybody needs from a tablet. Better camera. 8-megapixel camera. A camera very similar to the camera in the iPhone 6. So in that regard, kind of cool because you see them everywhere. At first I thought, I don't like this. People shooting pictures with their iPads, right? Do you do that? On the other hand, it is a camera you have. It has a beautiful viewfinder. You got to admit that. And, for a lot of people, it's their camera. So I don't like it at concerts, okay? Please don't do that at concerts. It's big. It blocks the way. It's bad enough I have to look over all these phones. If you've been to a concert lately, I don't mean the symphony, but if you've been to a pop concert lately, if you're in the, if you're on the ground level, you can't see anything because all you see is a forest of phones. It's almost as if nobody wants to see the concert. They just want to record it so they can show their friends. See, I was here. It's a little show-offy, but nothing worse than doing it with an iPad. I went to a festival last summer not this past summer, but a year ago. I can't remember what the band was. Oh, it was a band that's popular with the hipsters called Flaming Lips. and Lisa, my girlfriend, and I had kind of gone there 2 hours early, so we'd have good, standing festival style thing. So we were like kind of close to the front. Great, really happy. One thing that's happened lately, I guess I'm getting old. You go to these where you stand up festival things, and people just decide halfway through the show they want to be in front, and they just elbow their way up in front of you. I've been waiting here hours to be. What happened to? Anyway, so some guy elbows up, and then worse, whips out his iPad, which, by the way, is spidered. The glass is shattered, and starts taking pictures in front of me. I wanted to whack the guy, but I'm polite, so I didn't do anything. Anyway, he'll be happy if he gets a new one. This has an even better camera. So I'm going to open it up here. As always, Apple has a nice experience with the box. They make nice boxes, although they're not unique in that respect anymore. They were the first. It's gold. We got the gold one. It's pretty gold. Wow. Is that too gold, Heather? You're a woman. Is that too gold?
It kind of looks like the platinum.
Has opulence. Well, but look at it in the real world. It's pretty goldy.
It changes colors when you move it.
Well, yeah. Oh, it's
boo.
And look how thin it is. Not. Well, it is. It's a millimeter thinner. But can you tell? And all the journalists who handled it at the event said, "Oh, it feels lighter than air." No, it's still a pound. It's a few grams less, a millimeter thinner. I don't think compared to let me put it next to the original. Original, last year's original. This is the iPad, whatever. I've lost track.
So
this is your first iPad Air.
Those journalists are a little sycophantic.
I'm going to invite you in during the break, and you can weigh them in your hands, and you tell me. I don't think anybody's going to say, "Oh, it's floating out of my hand." It's the same. It looks the same. It feels the same. So what is really different? And I left out one more feature. It's got the Touch ID. That might be the one thing you might want to go crazy for. Not because you could do Apple Pay with it, because who's going to carry around an iPad and tap it? And even if you could, you can't, because there's no NFC chip. That's critical for that. So the only reason the Touch ID is nice is it makes it easier for you to log into your new iPad. You just swipe, you don't swipe, you just tap it with your finger. And that's nice, especially if you've got an iPhone and you've kind of become, whether you got a 5S or a 6, and you kind of got used to the idea that you don't have to type your code anymore. You just unlock it with your finger. I bet half of you don't even have a code. You just open it up and it's on. This will will encourage people to put a code on. You want to have a code on your iPhone. You don't want anybody just to pick it up and say, "Oh, let me see those pictures. Let's see some addresses and email." You have a fiduciary responsibility to the people in your contact list not to give out all that information. And if you have it in your contact list and somebody finds your phone and you haven't locked it, well, then you failed your fiduciary responsibility there. I don't know. It's pretty, but it's not. Is it? Now, remember, this $499 is the base price, 16 gigabytes of storage with Wi-Fi only. This here, I didn't buy it for myself. I bought it for a close personal friend. This is the top of the line, so it's 128 gigabytes. It's got 3G, 4G LTE. It's almost $1,000. It's $850, I think. I can't remember. It's a lot of money. Is it worth that much to replace your old iPad? No. I say no. And I personally am not replacing my Air. I like it. It's fast enough for me. I'm going to keep it. Dang it. But, I had to buy one just so I could see it and play with it. And there it is. One thing kind of interesting, Apple did I think a kind of cool thing with the SIM card in the 4G versions. If you're going to be on your a carrier's 3G or 4G network, if you're going to get your data not from your own Wi-Fi but from your carrier, you have to have a SIM card. And Apple, I think, rocked the industry on its heels by saying it's anybody's SIM card. You can have T-Mobile this month, AT&T next month, Sprint the next month, Verizon the next. Well, I think Verizon's not participating, but the other ones you can have. And if you travel overseas to England, you can have EE and month to month and just change it just by logging in and changing your account. Except that's all Apple's idea, but except AT&T, as soon as you make it an AT&T iPad, it locks the SIM card down. Hey, knock it off. It wants to make it harder to switch away. You can still go to Apple or your carrier and get a new one. But every time you sign up for AT&T, they're going to lock the SIM card. Isn't that rude? That's rude. How rude. Don't lock at AT&T. That's just rude. Anyway, there it is. That's the new iPad Air. Oh, it's floating out of my... Oh, so light and thin. You don't need it. Save your money. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ba, 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 ba. It's just, I mean... Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's not Cream, is it? No. We wanted to play a little Cream just to mention that Jack Bruce, the bassist for the supergroup Cream, passed away today. And we tip of the hat to one of the great rock and roll legends. So I should qualify my comments about the new iPad. If you have the iPad Air, I probably wouldn't replace it with the new Air 2. In fact, we just did a little blind test with Heather Hammond and a couple of people in studio. And of the 3 people who closed their eyes, put the old iPad Air and the new iPad Air in their hands, only one correctly identified the new iPad Air. The other 2 thought the old one was lighter. So, and that merely means the difference is indistinguishable, I would say. I mean, it really is indistinguishable. The thinness doesn't make that much difference. The battery life might. If battery life's a big issue for you, that's a good reason to stay away from the Air 2, which is thinner and lower battery life. But if you have an earlier iPad, if you have iPad 1 or 2, it's an absolutely worthy upgrade. And even if you have an iPad 3, if you have the 2-year-old iPad, this would be a reasonable upgrade. That's just last year's, I feel like, unless you have to have Touch ID. We didn't mention the iPad mini because it is the old iPad. All they did with the iPad mini, the only thing they did with the iPad mini, unaccountably, is add Touch ID, the fingerprint reader. They didn't up the specs in any way. It's the same one. Which puzzles me, because I like the iPad mini with Retina display. I find that size is good. 8888 Ask Leo. Scooter X is saying, according to specs, both have 10 hours. However, if you look at people like Walt Mossberg, The Verge, Engadget, and other reviewers, in almost every case, they noted less battery life on the newer iPad Air. You know what? It's hard to really talk about battery life on any of these mobile devices because the way you use it is the biggest factor. So different people will get different results depending on what they're doing with it. And I think the iPad Air gets you through the day. That's really what counts. It gets you through a couple of days in most cases. If you've never owned an iPad, somebody asks, what do you do if you... that's a good question. Is the iPad the best tablet on the market? Would it be worth spending a little more and getting a Windows 8-based tablet like the Surface Pro 3? Or would it be worth spending a little less and get an Android-based tablet like the new Nexus 9? That's an interesting question. I think that tablets are tablets these days. I don't think there's a huge difference. I certainly wouldn't feel left out if I had an Android-based tablet or a Windows-based tablet. I'm not a Windows fan, but I think that those who like Windows would feel very comfortable with the Surface Pro 3. 8888 Ask Leo. Heather Hammond, tell me, do. Heather on the wall, who's the fairest caller of them all?
Oh my gosh, it appears to be Lee in West Hills, California.
We should say they're all fair. They're all lovely.
Oh, they're all above average.
One of them gets to start the day, and that's Lee. Thank you, Heather, in West Hills, California. Hi, Lee.
Hi, Leo. Good morning. And I think I have some information that might interest you, and it looks like I'm calling at a good time since you're talking about Apple devices.
Yes.
Okay. My internet provider, I could mention its name if...
Always name names in this show. I am not shy.
Okay, Time Warner Cable just upgraded their internet speeds like crazy for no additional price. So I now have 100 megabits per second coming in on the internet.
By the way, they're all doing that now, and it's great because as a response, I think, to the threat of Google Fiber and other choices, they're suddenly going, whoa, we've been saying all along, no one, in fact, Time Warner specifically said, no one will ever need gigabit internet. We don't need to provide that to our customers. And all of a sudden, they're magically doubling their speed, and I think more to come. Is this Time Warner's aptly, or is it inaptly named Gigapower solution? Call it Giga. They have a Giga solution that's 300 megabits.
Yes, you can go up to 300.
Yeah.
But for the same price I was paying for 20.
100 is plenty. So what's happening with your 100 megabit solution?
So it works fine going to, and Wi-Fi works fine going to a 5+ year old PC Wi-Fi. But going to Apple devices can't keep up with it.
So you're doing a speed test or some other test on this, and you're seeing you don't get the full speed.
Right.
What do you get? What do you get on the Apple devices?
Well, and let me say that I do not have this week's version. So I'm comparing a 5S and I'm comparing a second generation iPad. A 5S gets 64 megabits per second. A Retina. Actually, I also have a.
How do you live with 64 megabits a second? Is it just slow as a little tiny slow snail crawling? No, that's pretty fast.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What is your PC? What is your PC getting?
My PC gets 100. It's actually 108 Wi-Fi, and that's a 5-year-old PC, so it has no problem.
What's your Wi-Fi router?
The Wi-Fi router is showing that I'm getting 250 megabits per second going to the Apple device, but my analysis is once it hits the iOS is throwing it all away and can't keep up with it. Can't keep up.
Well,
with
that may be. I mean, the results. It's good to do these speed tests because speed test is different than, say, your browser. You know, your speed with which your browser renders pages is dependent on a lot more than your internet connection. So a speed test is just kind of a raw, you know, and and you've tested it multiple times, and it's never come out to be more than 64.
Correct, and that is with the latest version. The further you go back, the slower it gets. But you also
latest version of iOS.
I don't know. I'm sorry. The later version, like my second generation iPad, can do 36.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it may well be that the bus or the, you know, I mean, for instance, these new iPads have, I didn't mention this, but they have twice the memory of last year's iPad, and that can make a big difference in speed. So there may be, I guess this is what I would call, and I don't mean to demean you in any way, but it's what we call a first world problem. In other words, it's 64 megabits is pretty fast.
Yes.
I doubt there's a situation where you need more.
Right. I'm not complaining about the speed. I'm just complaining that
Yeah, why is it not faster? Well, yeah, I mean, it could have to do with the processor. A desktop processor is a very different class processor than a mobile processor. One's Intel, one's ARM. You know, and of course the newer processors on the iPads, they're calling desktop class because for the first time they're 64-bit and they're capable of more throughput. So it may well be that, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it may well be the bus is not keeping up, something else is not keeping up. It may, by the way, it's so hard to factor all this, it may be just that the speed test program is written differently on iOS than it is on the desktop. You know, there's so many factors. The real thing is, do you feel like when you use your iPad, the internet is sluggish?
No, of course not, because I'm getting a ridiculously higher.
And I don't think, is the PC wired or wireless?
I tested it wired and wireless, and it reads within 1% of each other.
Yeah, it's interesting, because wireless should be considerably slower. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, our show today brought to you by our good friends at Gazelle.com. I love Gazelle.com. If you've got a little iPhone envy, or maybe you're looking at the iPad and saying, I want it. If you've got an older iPad, this is great for you. At least get a quote. You don't. The nice thing about Gazelle is the quote is not a lock-in. If you go to Gazelle.com, you'll see that they take a whole variety of, let me just type it in here, GAZELLE.com. Whole huge variety of hardware that they will take. Macs, PCs, they'll take Surface tablets, Samsung tablets, Actually, they don't buy PCs, but they'll buy Surface. They'll buy Galaxy stuff. They'll buy MacBooks. But the biggest trade there is iPhones and iPads. And they'll even buy a broken iPhone or an iPad because that has some value. So if you're thinking about getting the Air 2 or the iPhone 6, GAZELLE.com. Don't just throw old stuff in the... I do this sometimes. Old stuff in the drawer, and then it sits there and it gathers dust. That's like throwing a $100 bill in the drawer. I'm not kidding. You may have hundreds of dollars worth of stuff sitting in your drawers. Go to GAZELLE.com. It's risk-free. The offer is guaranteed for 30 days. Anytime in that 30 days, you can pull the trigger. They'll send you a box, prepaid mailing. Gives you time to transfer the data, get the new device, all of that stuff. Then they'll send you a check, a PayPal credit, or an Amazon gift card, and they'll bump the value of that 5%, which is really nice if you use Amazon. Gazelle's paid out now over $170 million to over 1 million customers. And I think it's because it just works. Gazelle.com. What's your iPhone worth? Take a minute and go to Gazelle.com and find out today. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Scott Wilkinson, he's the home theater guru at avsforum.com. And every week does the Home Theater Geek podcast on my network, twit.tv/HTG. Joins us each week on the radio show as well. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Leo. I'm sad about Jack Bruce. Although I have to say, when I listen to those old recordings, they sounded like they have so much distortion.
They sound really grungy, don't they?
They sound really grungy, which may be popular today, but back then, even then, I was kind of aware of it. Going, well, I love the music; it's great.
The sound. But they wanted to pass. They passed them through amplifiers, and I read the Keith Richards book about his Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards about his life called Life.
Yeah,
I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
Yeah.
He said, the key on a lot of these songs is to come up with a guitar sound that's unique. And certainly, it was the first time we'd ever heard. It was great.
Right.
But he made it by passing it through a reel-to-reel recorder over and over and over and over again.
Oh, wow.
Grunging it and grunging it and grunging it. And that was the sound, was this kind of fuzzy distortion sound. And so maybe that's what was going on. It was intentional.
Yeah, undoubtedly. But, at first I thought it was kind of lo-fi.
Badly recorded. But I think not.
Badly recorded.
No,
it's intentional probably.
And this is germane to our topic of home theater because we're talking a lot of these days about recording and audio and music and how bad new music sounds. But then I guess sometimes old music can too.
Well, yeah, I was just at the AES convention, Audio Engineering Society, and I heard a couple of panels with some really heavyweight recording engineers talking about high-res audio. You and I have talked about that many times. And but more to the point, they were sort of comparing compressed music, MP3, with uncompressed, and the difference is startling.
Yeah.
This week, however, I was at the SMPTE Tech Conference, Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers.
Oh, boy.
And saw a couple of examples of something we've talked about once in a while called high dynamic range in a video display, which is...
We've seen that in photography before.
Yes,
people love HDR photography where, your eye has a certain dynamic range, a certain amount of light and dark it can see at the same time. Camera can be less or more depending on the camera. The eye's actually not that good. It's smart. And when you look down and it's bright, then you look up and it's dark, or vice versa. The eye adjusts.
Exactly. Actually, the total range is very wide on the eye, but at any given moment, it's more restricted. And then that range shifts up and down depending on the overall ambient light.
But our brain puts it together as our brain in fact does HDR because it looks at a sunset and it can see the rocks on the beach and the bright sun at the same time, except you can't. Your eye's adjusting for it. Anyway, in a picture, you have to take multiple pictures and put them together, and I don't know how you do it in a video.
Well, you need a high dynamic range camera, which they now are coming out with. These new digital video and cinema cameras are pretty wide dynamic range. They have a dynamic range of something on the order of 14, 15 f-stops, which is pretty good. I mean, at any given moment, do you know? At any given moment, I don't. I know that it's. I heard it expressed at the SMPTE conference as 12 bits. Sometimes we can measure dynamic range in terms of the number of bits used to express the difference between the lowest and the highest light value or luminance. And I heard it expressed at SMPTE conference as 12 bits. Now, the current video system is 8 bits. That's 256 different levels of brightness. And typically that represents, content is graded for a maximum brightness out of a display of what's called 100 nits.
I'm looking, I just looked it up on the Google, which knows the answer to all things. And there seems to be a difference of opinion. A number of sites, including Wikipedia, says they say contrast ratio of 6.5 stops. But that's the human eye. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I've seen others say 10 to 14. So what can this camera do? Well,
there are now cameras that can do 14, 15 stops.
I think that's more than the human eye in any given.
It is. But the problem is that the content that we end up seeing on our TVs is graded for much less than that, like 4 or 5 stops, because the TVs have not had the capability to reproduce any greater range of brightness levels.
So it doesn't matter what they shoot.
Correct.
The TV can't show it.
That's right. Until, and even broadcast monitors, the monitors that professionals use to make the content, what's called grading the content for home use, haven't had any more dynamic range in their TVs either until now. Yeah. Dolby has been showing for almost a year now their high dynamic range video system called Dolby Vision, which can get a lot more than 4 or 5 stops. And they showed that at the SMPTE Tech Conference as well. They put their Dolby Vision prototype TV next to kind of a standard regular TV. And whereas the regular TV can get up to 100 nits of brightness, the new Dolby Vision TV that they were showing there can get up to 2,000. And they've shown demonstrations of TVs that can get to 4,000.
Seems like that would blind you.
A lot of people think that.
It's too bright.
No, it's not, because it wouldn't, that 4,000
You wouldn't see an all-white screen.
No.
Well, you might, and then it would blind you.
That would be kind of painful.
Yeah.
What they're using that for is what are called specular highlights. So you have
so if you're watching a J.J. Abrams movie,
yes,
he loves
lens flare.
The sun hits a reflective surface, and then, and it is, if you're watching like the first reboot of the Star Trek movies, there's a lot of lens flare in that, and it does hurt your eye a little bit when it hits you. I mean, it's like the sun,
as it does in real life.
Right. It's a little bit of it, and that's why it does it. I presume
it's only a tiny little piece of the picture.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny little moment. UJ in the chat room is suggesting, and I intend to mention also the Sony. Sony introduced showed at the show a high dynamic range OLED professional broadcast monitor that went up to 1,000 nits, and they were showing footage shot at the Carnival in Brazil. The giant floats coming down the street.
Oh yeah,
and man, that looked good. Yeah. And that was at 4K and at 60 frames per second.
The thing to note, as we have when we talked a little bit about The Hobbit,
yes,
is that hyper-real is cool when you're looking at documentary footage, like like the Carnival parade.
Yeah.
But sometimes in movies, you don't really want that.
Well, a lot of people feel that way. It's very common concern that, hey,
there's a magic in movies. We don't want perfect and
hyper-realism.
Yeah.
Well, tell that to James Cameron. Last I heard, he was planning to shoot the next Avatar movies at 120 frames per second. That's not confirmed. It's only something I heard, but he'll probably do it at least at 60.
Well, it's good to have I would say it's good to have the toolkit, and a good filmmaker will use it appropriately.
Yes.
So that when you look at Gandalf's staff, it doesn't look like something made out of resin and bought its staffs on us, but in fact looks like a magical wizard's staff.
Yes, exactly.
Even though it was made of resin and purchased its staffs on us. Right.
Yep. Exactly.
The point also to be made is that the human eye isn't a camera, and what we do with what happens to the human eye, and in particular the human eye and its relationship to the human brain, is something a camera is very different from what the camera does.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And this has to be taken into account.
Yeah. Scott Wilkinson, avsforum.com, and Home Theater Geeks. Thank you. Leo Laporte,
bet.
the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. If you'd like to talk high tech, I'm here to do it with you. And Zach in Folsom, California. Hi, Zach. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oops, let me push the right
Oh,
button.
I'm Zach from Folsom, as you rented. Sorry.
I could tell you're Zach from Folsom. It says so right on your button.
Sorry, this is my first time calling in.
Don't be nervous. Just take a deep breath.
Okay.
It's just you and me. Nobody listens to this show. That's the good news for
yeah,
you.
My local station doesn't carry it on Saturdays. So.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
But anyway, I'm just curious. What is your favorite cell phone carrier? What's the carrier you use?
That's a good question. I use them all. All the big four: Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, and AT&T. And it's really, first of all, they're all terrible. Customer service, arrogance, expense, overcharging. They're all terrible in that regard because they're all spin-offs of the old AT&T, monopoly, and they all think of themselves as monopolies, even though they're not. Isn't that funny? One of the reasons I kind of prefer T-Mobile is they're the little guy. I mean, T-Mobile is the huge Deutsche Telekom, the German telecom company. But in the United States, they're number 4 out of 4. And so they have to try a little bit harder, and I kind of like their attitude. I would like Sprint a little bit more if I could use it. This is the other thing. You got to consider your specific regional issue. Sprint doesn't have great coverage where I live. So the answer, Zach, if you had all 4 and they were all equally good, in terms of a connection, then maybe T-Mobile. But it really is going to depend a lot on what works best in Folsom, California.
Mm-hmm. Actually, funnily enough, I'm calling you from a T-Mobile cell phone. So,
are you on the Wi-Fi version or are you on the regular?
I'm on an unlocked Moto G, the 2014 model.
Yeah. See, I think first of all, I think the Moto G
Wi-Fi
is a great phone because it's very inexpensive and it has a lot of the features that I like best about Motos. So that's a great phone. And T-Mobile has some really good plans. In fact, they have a $30 a month plan for us geeks. It only has 100 minutes of calling a month, but it has unlimited text and data for $30 a month. So there's things like that. By the way, that's hidden away on a T-Mobile page. You can't, it's hard to get, or hard to find.
The only way you can get it is at Walmart. If I looked into it.
Well, it's a Go phone, so it's month to month. It's not just Walmart, but it's month to month. You probably could go to a T-Mobile store and beg them, but I think, as I remember the last time I did, they said that's web only. We cannot offer it to you here. Mm-hmm. They don't want to offer it; they just want to have it. So, in case anybody asks. So, in any event, so you like T-Mobile?
Yeah, and actually, this brings me to the second part of my question. What do you think of T-Mobile's uncarrier movement?
Well, remember that's marketing, but I gotta say, John Ledger, their CEO, is a wild man, and I think he's somewhat sincere in thinking, well, the only way we're going to get attention is to win over people who are paying attention. See, most carriers know that most users don't pay any attention. They don't look at their bill, except to say, "Gosh, that's high." Every month, but they don't really do much about it. They lock them in to make it hard to get out. Things like AT&T locking the SIM on your iPad. It's things like that these guys do, and they figure, we got you. There's nothing you're going to do. Even if you call them, they're very. I don't like the way they do business in general. And T-Mobile, because they're the weak party, remember, you don't remember, you're too young, but there used to be 2 big rental car companies in America. There was Hertz, which was number 1, and there's Avis. And Avis's motto was, we're number 2, we try harder. And I think that's kind of true. We're number 4, says T-Mobile, we try harder. And that's John Ledger's kind of attitude. Not to say that T-Mobile doesn't have to do some bad things and so forth. And I think somewhat, for one thing, they said no more contracts. But I don't know really exactly if that's true because for most people, if you buy a phone from them, you're going to buy it subsidized. And now you're kind of under contract. So, I think they're a carrier. They're the first among equals, or worst among worst equals. I don't know how you put it exactly.
I don't know. The best of the worst, maybe?
Best of the worst. But my you're right. My daily driver is almost always T-Mobile because they have good coverage where I am. And by the way, one of the reasons we like T-Mobile is because so few people use them that their data usually is very fast. Because remember, your data on any cellular carrier is shared with everybody else using that cell site. So popular carriers are actually bad because lots of people are using the data at the same time. So AT&T is often slow. Say again?
Sorry, I interrupted you, but I was actually my phone only supports HSPA Plus, but I've tested with my dad's.
It's fine. I know, mine too.
But I mean, I was getting about 5 to 6 megabits on mine, and 2 to 3 on his.
So there you go. And Dad's got LTE. Isn't that hysterical? I am on the Galaxy Note 4, and I got an unlocked one, so I put it on because I'm with you, and I think a lot of geeks who like T-Mobile, and I'm getting an amazing throughput on HSPA Plus. It doesn't support, just like you, it doesn't support LTE on any network in the United States because it's a European phone. Last test I did 12 megabits down and 7 megabits, 6 megabits up. That's plenty fast. You know, and it's like our last caller who said, well, I'm only getting 64 megabits down. It's like, at some point, you're faster than the places you're going. You're faster than the websites can serve you. So it does anything more, it doesn't get you anything. Anyway, Zach, thank you for calling. It's good to talk to you. And like many geeks, you've chosen T-Mobile. Yeah, and I'm kind of with you on T-Mobile. T-Mobile also is doing some innovative things. For instance, if you have a newer phone, unlike the Moto G that Zach has, but if you have a newer phone, iPhone 6, for instance, on T-Mobile, you can use Wi-Fi calling, which is really cool. Instead of using the cellular network when it's within reach of a Wi-Fi, you have a Wi-Fi access point that it can log into, whether it's at work or at home or at a coffee shop. It'll use that and get some great results. I think there's a lot of good things about T-Mobile. But ultimately, what's critical is that you get the carrier that works best where you are, frankly. They're all to some degree or other a problem. Our show today brought to you by our great friends at Carbonite. This is one reason why your high-speed internet is so important. It's a great way to back up your data. And that's what Carbonite does. I love, good technology. And Carbonite is good, is smart, is useful technology. If you're still backing up your business files to external hard drives or flash drives or tape, I think people still use tape. It's time to enter the 21st century and back up to the cloud with Carbonite. That's my recommendation. Carbonite Cloud Backup. When you purchase Carbonite today, you're going to get 2 free bonus months if you use my name, Leo, at Carbonite.com. But do try before you buy. I love it when a company like Carbonite says, you know what, we're going to let you try it for free. We're not even going to ask you for a credit card. We're not going to lock you in. Just try it. Because what that tells me is they're confident. They know that if you try it for 2 weeks, you're going to want it. And it's nice, too, because if it doesn't work for you, your bandwidth is insufficient or whatever, you don't have to use it. It puts a lot of trust in their product and in the customer, and I like that. Go to Carbonite.com, business or home. It's flat rate pricing. It's for however much data you have, and I like that, too. You know exactly what you're going to pay. For a single Mac or a PC, it's less than $5 a month, $59.99 a year. Business there's great plans, too, including the Carbonite appliance, which gives you local and cloud backup. There's a lot of great solutions. Visit Carbonite.com. Pick the solution that's right for you. Try it free. Use my name, Leo, when they give you an offer code, and you'll get 2 months free when you decide to buy. You got to back it up to get it back. That's the key. So do it right with Carbonite. Moving on to our next caller. It's Rick in Phelan, California. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
Well, I got a little problem here. About a year ago, I talked to you about replacing my XP, and we discussed the difference between Windows 8 and Windows 7, and I did buy a new 7 instead on your recommendation.
Good.
I like it. However, I've been using my old XP on occasion, and I got this big ICE cybercrime center.
Oh, my gosh. The FBI is on to you. and let me guess, they want you to go to 7-Eleven and buy a money pack
Right, and they want me to send them $300, and I got a clock counting down here that's
Do you,
down to
do you
2
think
hours.
that's how ICE works, by the way? Do you think that that's reasonable that the United States agency, a government law enforcement agency, would ask you to go to 7-Eleven and pay them $200?
Not for a New York minute.
Not for you got hacked, right? That's malware.
Right, so what do I
Now,
do?
let me ask you, because sometimes, first of all, did they encrypt any files on your system?
Not that I can tell. I don't
Then
know.
you're
I mean,
then you're lucky. You didn't get what's called crypto locker, which does the same ransom thing, but but it's real ransom because they've encrypted your data and you can't use it unless you pay them the money. In this case, it's removable. No data has been lost. It's just malware popping that up. We're going to take a break for the news. Keep listening. I'll talk a little bit when we get back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. The FBI is here, and they want you to go to 7-Eleven. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, home theater, smart photography, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536. We were talking last hour to somebody who got the ICE warning. And it's not just ICE. There's a lot of variants of this same malware. You get it on your computer in a variety of ways, going to a website that's been hacked, opening up a file or an attachment that's either in your email or maybe you got a link in your Facebook. Essentially, any bad guy, to get stuff to happen to you, has to get you to run a program that modifies your browser or modifies your system so that that's called malware, so they can get that malware or bad software on your system. This was a really common form of malware. Mostly last year. The stuff never goes away. And the reason is there's kits. A kid in Romania wants to make a little money, knows a little bit about computers, can buy and download a kit that will allow him to attack systems. The kid, most of the time, the first thing the kid does is scan the internet for websites that have flaws in them. Websites that are running old, outdated software. Sometimes it's forums, sometimes it's regular websites. The bigger the site, the better. Sometimes if it's a kid who's ambitious or a larger group, maybe organized crime, they'll buy ads on ad servers that will automatically populate on websites and embed the stuff in the ad. This has happened. So you go to the website and the ad infects you. But if they can compromise a website, then anybody who visits that website, at least initially, can be attacked. Now, the funny thing is that Google and others scan all the time. They're always looking at the web. And they know what these attacks are. If they see a site that has malicious software on it, they'll often flag it. So the kid only has it maybe 12 hours, 24 hours, depending on how popular the site is, to take advantage of this. That's fine because this costs them nothing. They're just sitting in their room. It's fifth period. They got a little time on their laptop at school, and they just do this. It's easy. There's really very little risk, very little penalty. So they get this stuff. They buy these kits. They put this stuff on websites, on advertisements. They send out emails, mass emails, whatever it is. But the key is to get you to bite. So you go to the website and you click a link, or there's a PDF, or you haven't, it's chiefly people who haven't fixed their system, haven't kept their system up to date. Notice our caller was running Windows XP. Unfortunately, that is no longer possible to keep that up to date. Microsoft stopped offering patches for that in April. So those folks are vulnerable as they surf around to these malicious, these hacked websites. You go there, and some software gets in your system. Now, this is one particular variant, and the kid has a whole toolkit. Remember, he's purchased, in some cases, hundreds of these. They're not expensive. It's $1 each, whatever. So you get there, and one of these is very popular. And by the way, it's ICE in the U.S., or it's the Department of Justice or the FBI in the U.S. It's Interpol in Europe. These are customizable. Looks very real. It has the federal logo with an eagle with the talons, and it looks very real, except it's pretty obviously not, because it says go down to the 7-Eleven and get some money back, or it asks for Bitcoin. It's obvious, and it's scary stuff. I mean, it says things like, we've found child porn on your computer, but if you pay us $200, we'll call it even. I don't, why even, anyway, most people go and they move on. And that, obviously our caller knew that wasn't real. Some people actually do pay enough that it's pretty good, money for a high school kid in Romania who's just sitting around not doing much. In some cases, the crypto locker, these guys were making millions of dollars a week. So it's, it can be good business. It's a living. So what do you do? Well, you got bit. Well, the best thing to do, and it's also the really bad news. The best thing to do is hope you have a Windows install disk or a system recovery disk from the person who made the computer system. You're going to use that, back up your data. Best thing to do is boot to the disk, then back up your data so that no compromise gets backed up. And then reformat, literally erase the entire hard drive, like aggressively erase the entire hard drive and reinstall Windows, restore your data. This is a weekend's worth of work. But it is possible to go out and download software. The one that most people who listen to the show recommend is Malwarebytes. I don't recommend this personally. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not fully effective. But go to and by the way, you got to get the right one because there's phony ones that just add more malware to your system. So you got to kind of know what you're doing. malwarebytes.org. That's the website. We'll put it at our website, techguylabs.com. You safely click that link. Malwarebytes.org. Download their removal tool. It will probably remove that ICE warning. But what it can't guarantee that it's got everything. If you've been compromised, sometimes this Romanian kid, I'm sorry if you're from Romania, this Hungarian kid or whatever, this smart kid, they seem to be a lot from Eastern Europe. This Russian kid, whoever, may have been smart enough to install more than one thing. Some of them may be silent. So he's going to try to get money up front, but maybe you're smart enough not to fall for that. You erase it and you go on your merry way. Meanwhile, he's installed in the back end a command and control server that logs into a chat server that waits for his command to use your computer to attack somebody else's computer. That's very common. And he may sell that botnet. They call it a botnet. He may sell that botnet for a couple of $1,000 to a bad guy. It's often organized crime. Because they have another scam they run where they threaten gambling sites. You're going to see a lot of this as we come up to this, now during the World Series and as we come up to the Super Bowl. When you come to big days for betting, the threat is, it would be a terrible thing if your betting site were unable to accept bets up prior to the Super Bowl. That would be, but our company can protect you against such things. Yeah, well, you get the idea. It's a protection racket. So all of this can be done to you, and the problem is you say, well, I ran away with Malwarebytes. I got rid of the ICE warning. See, everything's fine. And meanwhile, you're still compromised. So that's why security experts say, really, the only way to be sure is to wipe the drive and install from a clean, known good source. Usually that's a Windows install disk or the like. Sigh. 8888, ask Leah. We're going to take more calls in just a bit. I don't want to start another call now because we're close to a break. I do want to mention, talking about dumb. So, Apple Pay came out last week. It's pretty cool. What's nice, if you're an Android user, is it enables touch and pay for not just Apple Pay, but Android. You're going to see a lot, I think, a lot of stores start to do this, Walgreens, for instance. But CVS and Rite Aid have decided that worked. They had tap and pay, and it even worked with Apple Pay. They've turned it off. And they put a little sign that says, we don't have it now. We will next year. We're going to have our own solution. So these two stores have decided, we don't want to use any solution that Google came up with or Apple came up with or anybody else came up with. We want to use our solution. And it won't be ready till next year. And this is a really good example of cutting off your nose to spite your face. Because unfortunately, in many cases, you just can go across the street to use Walgreens. The real question is, how many people are going to want to start using Tap to Pay? How popular it's going to be? Is it 10 customers you're losing? 100? 1,000? And if you lose them, have you lost them for good? I'm a big fan of these Tap to Pay systems, and I think they're going to take off. 8888 Ask Leo is our number. I did mention the website. Please do use it. It's all there for you, and it's free. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to pay. TechGuyLabs.com. Every show's there. Audio plus video. Also links. So if I mention something, you can just go there, go to today's show, and you'll find it. TechGuyLabs.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. So, I'm using the Galaxy Note, which I love. There's a few weirdnesses, and I will buy a Nexus 6 and probably end up using that. But I do love the size and the screen. Gosh, it's a gorgeous screen. But they have an interesting feature, which I've not seen before, and I don't think it's an Android feature. I think it's a Samsung feature called SOS. I wonder where I find that. Safety Assistance. Okay. So, and one of the commands is send help messages. So if I press the power key quickly 3 times, I think this is kind of cool and a really useful thing. Press the power key 3 times to send a quick alert to your primary contacts when you are in an emergency situation. And then you could check a box, send pictures, send sound recording. So I thought, well, I'll turn it on and I'll make Lisa be my primary contact. And that way, if I'm in a dark alley and somebody's robbing me, I could press my phone 3 times, give him the phone, and then let it take pictures and send sound or whatever. I don't know. I just thought, I'll try it. Unfortunately, let me show you what happened. Either it did it in my car. I mean, it did it in my pocket because I don't know why. But for some reason, it just sent it to Lisa as I was driving in. I think it's because I pressed skip 3 times on my steering wheel. So you can't really read this. But she's got a message, SOS at a time, I need help at a time, with a Google Map link, and then pictures, I guess kind of, that's the picture of the inside of my pocket. And Lisa called me and said, are you all right? I got SOS. Now, I had warned her that I'd done this, but she probably forgot. And it gives, in a Google Map location, I need help of where I was when I sent the message. I said, and then there's audio too, I think. I'll probably turn that off. Because I don't know how it got triggered, but it got triggered easily. I think it's good, though. I mean, I'd love Abby, my daughter, to have that capability. You know, if something bad happened to her, whatever, you know, in a dark alley. But I mean, it's not going to save your life. But if somebody's,
it could.
Okay, here's an example. She got robbed, and when she was in Mexico, she was living there for a few months. She got robbed at knife point. They stole her iPhone. What if she had a way of triggering that, and the iPhone would take pictures of the assailant and record sound? That'd be a good thing to have.
Oh my gosh, it's a detective's dream. It would seem like.
And if I get murdered and I am able to press this 3 times, and then I could go, the murderer. And you'd have that recording. So that'd be good.
I feel like it's one of those things that it's better to have and not need it or misuse it than to.
Well, misusing is problematic. And actually, I should check and see who else got these. Oh, it's just Lisa. Good. Because if I had added my kids to it, for instance, I would be getting panicked calls from them. Are you all right? Because it looks like something really bad has happened.
But better that moment of like, and oh, thank God you're okay.
Well, she called. It was so funny. She called. Are you all right? I said, what do you mean? I got an SOS message from you. I said, oh.
See?
That must have gone off. Now, I'm looking what the pictures are. One of them is from my office, so maybe I did something in my office. And something.
If I ever have another boyfriend, I'm going to put that on there.
If I ever
scare
have
him,
another boyfriend.
and he'll be like, oh my God, I thought something happened to you. And he'll
Wait a minute,
like
you just had another internet date.
Again.
Yeah, you just had another internet date. Didn't go well? You went to the ball game. Did you bring a guy to the ball game?
Oh, I didn't go to the game.
Oh, I saw you checking in at the game.
Oh, I was near it before.
You were near it.
No, that's where I go to skate and stuff like that because it's on the water.
Right.
So anyway.
You skate on the water?
Yes.
Wait a minute, you're a roller skater?
I walk on water.
Are you a roller derby queen?
I'm a what do they call it? Fruit boot. I'm really fast. Look out.
There's a name? No, we'll ask you later. Thank you. Fruit boot? We got to find H-Bomb a date. Poor girl. You need a good. Little more Jack Bruce music. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, 888-827-5536. Back to the phones we go. And Henry in Westchester, Pennsylvania is next. Hi, Henry.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. Thanks for holding on. Welcome.
You're welcome. She ought to try a produce stand. She'll most likely get a really good date there.
That's a nice place to. So we were talking off the air about Heather and her internet dating fun, and and you're suggesting you wait around at a because that's when you get the guy who comes up and say nice melons, and how do you choose a good melon, that kind of thing.
No, she'll be able to get dates right next to the grapes or the something else fruit.
Okay.
You want a good date? Go to a fruit stand.
I get it. That kind of date.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm slow. What can I do for you?
Okay, I'm a ham radio operator too, and you don't need to be that fast. Hey, Leo, besides, I'm one of those guys who wasn't listening the last hour to your radio program, like you told the one guy on the phone.
That's okay. I allow that. You do not need to listen to every minute of the show.
So in this minute, I'd like to suggest to you and ask that since the two of us share a common hobby of amateur radio.
Yes. I'm a proud amateur radio enthusiast, a.k.a. a ham.
Right. My call sign is King Abel 3, Boston Mike Sugar.
King Abel 3, Boston Mike Sugar, Whiskey 6, Tango Whiskey Tango.
TWT.
Twit, get it?
Yeah, I get it. I got it. I've been in this hobby since the 70s. Some of my equipment goes back to 1950s.
That's cool. It's analog.
Yeah, it has to be. Otherwise, I can't fix it.
It's the real deal. I like that. Because, nowadays, everything is software-defined. It's actually a computer with software running.
Which is, I personally do not care for because it's so difficult to follow and understand.
Right.
In the old days, you turn it on, wait for the filaments to warm up, and, you adjust the VFO or work on the crystal accordingly.
I have a transmitter you would love. I'm looking at it right now. It's an old Collins AM radio transmitter, converted to the I think it's 75 meters, but it's converted.
Which one is it?
Which one? Which Collins? I don't know. I can't remember the name of it, but it's beautiful. It was reconditioned by a guy, longtime radio engineer named Mike Doro.
I remember him.
He makes those great meters, the Doro meters.
Yep.
But he goes around and he's visiting radio stations, and they're often decommissioning their old AM transmitters, and he takes them.
They could be converted up to 160 megacycle or meters.
He converts it, and I could broadcast on. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And the audio reproduction is fantastic.
It's warm. It's lovely. It's luscious.
Yep. So I guess ultimately what I'm getting at is not only when we look at these lovely old radios that glow in the dark and how easy they were to work on compared to the SDR stuff we have nowadays.
Software-defined radio, yeah.
Yeah, which personally, my Hank's personal preference is that, you can have it, I don't want it.
Right.
How do you see the radio equipment moving forward, ham radio hobby moving forward overall in all aspects? And if you were to return to acquire a vacuum tube equipment station, what would you like to get?
Well, nobody's making those vacuum tubes anymore, but fortunately there's still a lot of them out there, and you can go on eBay and elsewhere and find them. I think the times are changing. And we do a podcast about amateur radio called Ham Nation, and I hope you listen to it with some great hams, well-known hams, Bob Heil and Gordo and the gang. But one of the things they recognize, and these guys are old school, they're analog, is that times change and you need to get younger people into the hobby. And one way to get them into the hobby is with these new kind of hybrids between the internet and ham. And I'm kind of with you. I thought, well, if I'm going to... So, for instance, we have trouble getting a good signal at the studio because there's so much radio noise coming off of our stuff and just in general in town. They said, well, that's no problem because we'll connect you via the internet to antennas in North Carolina that are really great, and you could use those. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to Skype to somebody else's antennas, I might as well just make a Skype call. If I'm going to... You kind of wonder, well, the internet, I can do all this with the internet without half the trouble. And, of course, for somebody like you, that's part of the fun of it is getting the tubes, seeing them glow, getting them fixed. But younger people today, maybe I think the idea that it's software, that it's a computer, that you can interface with data networks, is appealing to them. So I don't know where the ham hobby is going, but I do know it would die out if it were relying on tubes, because nobody's making tubes anymore. So it's probably good that, and I have to say, one of the reasons I became a ham is that there are many reasons, but one of the reasons is because a lot of our modern technology, like the internet, owes its origin to amateur radio enthusiasts who were the first to do things like packet radio, which is essentially digital, and that kind of packet system became the foundation of the internet, and is a system used today on the internet. So there's a natural relationship between the old school geeks, the analog geeks of ham radio, and the modern digital geeks, and I think that's a good thing. But I admit that for old timers, there's nothing like a glowing tube. Turn out the lights and it just pulses. Chuck, near Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, Chuck.
Hi there.
How are you?
Whiskey Alpha 4 Zulu Foxtrot Hotel.
Another ham.
Oh,
I love it.
Not really. I had not in many years, but I still have my license.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have a minor problem I picked up on when I followed your advice.
Uh-oh.
I having a little trouble with Windows 7 machine, so I ran recovery to restore my computer.
Uh-oh.
Now Windows won't let me partition the hard drive for the same drive letters I used when Carbonite backed up my hard drive. Am I going to have to come back to the same one for Carbonite to work with it?
No, just go into the Carbonite settings, and Carbonite doesn't really care what hard drive and letter you use. The data is still there. So
well, I knew that, but will it put it back? And if I partition it,
you'll tell it where. Yeah, if you need to restore, you tell it where it goes.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about that.
Good enough. I would really like an easy way of putting the same. Windows will not let me.
I don't know why that is. You've got to understand, drive letters are an imaginary construct. That there is, when you have a C drive, there's nothing on the drive that says, I am the C drive. In fact, its real name is something much more obscure and longer, usually having to do with MNT drive 0. And so that's just a translation that Windows makes to C and D and E. Windows cares because it goes in order, alphabetic order and so forth. But it's not, it's just, you don't need to get too attached to it. And if you want to, I'm not sure why, it may be that you still have those old partitions. I'm not sure what happened. That is always a risk. The best thing to do when you're going to do a restore is, and this is the thing nobody wants to do, is to reformat the drive, and in fact even repartition it. Start from scratch, because otherwise if you use those recovery disks on top of it, you're just putting a Band-Aid over the bad stuff that's still there under the Band-Aid. And I suspect that's what happened, and that's why the drive letters are not reused. 8888 Ask Leo. More of your calls. Less geeky calls, I think, coming up. Those are very geeky. Here's some pictures from my Galaxy Note. I'm actually loving the camera on the Note. These are out the window of the plane as I'm flying home. Oops, that came out. They're maybe not as clear as they could be because of those lousy plastic glass windows, but golly, it's a beautiful night flying home.
Can I have my phone back?
Yes, thank you. I did my demo of my emergency.
I wasn't that freaked out, but I was like...
Well, it is freaky. It says help. It says help.
Help, and I thought, what, did he hit a deer or something?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you just left.
I know. Terrible. I had barbecue when I was in Austin, and I took a picture.
By the way, I did forget. I'm like, you sent me a picture.
Yeah.
How come I don't have it set up?
It's a Galaxy Note thing. It's a Samsung thing. You just wouldn't understand.
I've got Samsung, I want to try it.
You may inherit it. Hey, JJ, Johnny Jet coming up here. Let's look at some more pictures from my travels. Here's a dinosaur cactus holder. Here's the. This is one thing that you do a lot with these phones with a good enough camera is take pictures of whiteboards so you can then later. I don't know what that is. These are. I should trash these. Moving to trash. You know, this was exciting, I thought, but it didn't happen. The hotel we were staying at was having a big convention of trampoline owners. Sky Zone. Have you ever heard of the Sky Zone? It's a trampoline workout, I guess. I was hoping to see people jumping around in the lobby, but... Oh, yeah, I'm glad I hid that because the next picture is of my credit card. Let's take that off the Google. Here's a nice video. This is a 4K video coming out of the phone. I don't know if you can tell it's 4K, but it looks good. It's very crisp. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. We're going to go back to the phones in a second, but now I'm confused. I see Johnny Jet. He's on the line. He's on the phone, and we've got a beautiful picture. All right, I'm going to guess where you are, Johnny. Johnny's our travel guru. He's all over the world. I think you're in Czechoslovakia in Prague. Beautiful old town Prague.
It looks like it, but I'm actually in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania I'm at a Oktoberfest. I'm at a booth for U.S. Airways Premier World MasterCard.
Neat.
And I'm having fun, but it's loud.
Yeah, but it's fun. But Oktoberfest is, oddly enough, normally at the end of September. It's long over in Germany. I guess it never ends in Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, usually in Germany, in Munich is a big one, and it lasts, I think, September 16th to like October 2nd.
Right.
Or the first weekend there, and you realize that 6 million people go to the one in Munich.
6 what?
6 million people go for those 2 weeks, and they drink 7 million liters of beer.
Wow.
I mean, it's a party.
Actually, that seems low. Seems like that it should be more than a liter per person.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well, some of you are not keeping up your end of the bargain there.
That's right.
So Johnny joins us every week to talk about travel. I'm going to call you the peripatetic Johnny Jet, which sounds like you've got a disease. Do you worry about Ebola? Everybody's so freaked out. Oh, look at you. Prost!
No, I don't worry about it. Right after it first came out and all the media was jumping all over it, I actually flew, and I was a little bit freaked out, but then I went back, read all the facts. It's not like the flu where you can get it just from someone sneezing or breathing on you. You really have to be in direct contact.
So don't fear. I think a lot. I don't know. I haven't seen any statistics, but I bet you people are flying a little bit less right now because of their fears.
There are some people. I've been getting tons of emails. People saying they want to cancel their trips to Europe.
Don't.
The sad part is people canceling their trips to Africa.
Yeah.
West Africa, I can understand, but Africa is bigger than the United States and Europe combined.
Yeah.
So there's no problem going on safari in East Africa or going to South Africa. Don't give those up. And this is actually a great time to go there because you'll get really good bargains because everyone's just started canceling like in the hundreds.
Good to know. Johnny usually has a website for us and an app for us, and I want to make sure we have time for that. What do you got?
So I got a new website that just came out last week called hotelpower.com. Have you heard of it?
I haven't. What does it do? Hotel Power. What does it do?
So these guys, what they promise is that you're going to get between 25 and 70% off hotel rates that you find on the internet, not from their rack rates, but on the internet.
Well, that's really good because the internet rates are already usually considerably reduced from their so-called rack rate.
Right, but your biggest savings will be on like really 5-star properties like the Ritz-Carlton. I just saw one for Ritz-Carlton, New York, where the rack rate was like $800, but you could find a deal on these guys for $500. So it's still expensive stuff, but it's a huge savings.
I was stunned. We went to Austin and we stayed at Westin. I was stunned. It was almost $500 a night. And I thought, are hotel rates going up? They seem awfully expensive.
They are. I mean, travel is just, everyone's traveling right now except, people are worried about Ebola, but it's going to blow over. I'm pretty confident on that. But the hotels, businesses are booming, and the hotels. This is a good time for hotels. I mean, their average rack rates are just jumping.
They're through the roof. So it really does behoove you to search around to find a better rate, because you can. Don't accept the rack rate, which is kind of the retail price, the normal rate. Go and shop around, and hotelpower.com is a place to try.
And actually, we talked about Hotel Tonight before, but they just introduced 2 weeks ago. Before, for Hotel Tonight, you had to do it the same day.
Right.
Like 9 a.m. that day, they would release that night's
It's
deal.
a little too scary for normal people. You don't have a Hotel Tonight, and you have to wait until that day to get
But
it.
they just changed it, actually. So these guys just changed it so you can do 7 days in advance.
Ah.
So
all right.
now they're starting to play with the big boys.
That's interesting. Hotel Tonight. What's your app for the week?
So here's one that it's called Salk, SALK, Airport Transit Guide. So this one costs $4.99, and it's available on iOS and Android. But if you're like an American Express cardholder or any of these companies, and you always call their concierge for travel information,
right.
This is what these guys use.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So if you ever need to go from, it's best for the airport. So if you call up and say, what's the best way to go from the airport to the hotel? They'll tell you if you should take a shuttle, bus, train, taxi. They'll tell you the cost, the best routing, travel times, pickup points, parking rates.
See, I wish I had both these things. So there's a website by this way for this, as well as an app for the airport guide. But it's airportguide.com. But I wish I had both these things on my trip to Austin, because we must have paid rack rate for the hotel and the rental car. They always say, it was like $200 a day. It was crazy, and I wish I'd known that we could have saved a lot of money getting from the airport to the hotel.
Well, next week I'll give you a car rental tips and website.
That would help me a lot.
We can definitely. I could have saved you some money on that one.
I could tell I overpaid. It was ridiculous. Johnny Jett, he's at Oktoberfest in Philly.
Philadelphia, baby.
You're having a great time. And there's nothing better with a good Oktoberfest beer than a nice soft Philly pretzel. I hope you get one dipped in butter, my friend, because you're way too thin looking.
I'm going to get a Philly cheesesteak.
Or a Philly cheesesteak, or both. Thank you, John.
Take care.
Take care. Johnny Jett. JohnnyJett.com is his website. At Johnny Jett on Twitter. He is just a great guy, and we love him, and he always has great travel tips and a couple of good ones for you. If you don't want to have to remember the link, you can just find that and a link to Johnny's stuff, including his great travel newsletter, on our website, techguylabs.com. I'm really starting to feel like I need to shop around better, because if you don't shop around on these things like rental cars and airfare and hotels, they get you. They punish you for not being sophisticated, and I think it's probably because they know that there's a certain percentage. It's just going to go, whatever. What's the price? Oh, okay. And it's a lot. It really can add up. I had sticker shock. Don's on the line from Mojave Valley. Hi, Don. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm very well.
Okay, I just bought. You look really good on a 70-inch new Vizio, by the way.
It must have that special slimming factor built in there.
There you go.
Are you using a Roku for that? How are you doing that?
I'm using the Chromecast. Works great.
Love it. Chromecast is awesome.
Yes, it is. Anyways, it's a 3D TV, and I am visually impaired, but the deal with my impairment is that one eye is stronger than the other.
Okay.
Now, my question is, with the 3D glasses, can you see 3D with one eye?
How much? Can the weaker eye see?
Yes, but when I open up the right eye, the only thing the left eye sees is what the right eye can't off to the left.
Yeah. No, I'm like that too. I have my eyes are separated. I had amblyopia as a kid, and they never were bonded. So yes, sort of. You certainly can't with just one eye. If you covered one eye, you couldn't. The way 3D works is the way your brain and normal vision works, which is with parallax. So the two eyes have a slightly different view. The brain does some calculations based on that and can calculate distance and depth, but only up to about 15 or 20 feet. Past that, everything is flattened out. The eye is only capable of doing that stuff close up. So if you have some vision in the second eye, you'll probably get some 3D information, maybe not as strong as you would. But if, for instance, if you can hold your fingers out in front of you and touch them together, you're getting some sort of 3D information. 3D should work for you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I'm going to put a link in the show notes, techguylabs.com, to a 3-year-old article on Roger Ebert's website. Ebert posted it. You remember him, of course, from the Chicago Sun-Times, where he was a long-time movie reviewer. And, of course, he's the thumbs-up, thumbs-down guy from At the Movies. But Ebert published an article, actually a letter that he received from renowned film editor Walter Murch, that he titled, the blog post was titled, Why 3D Doesn't Work and Never Will, Case Closed. And Murch, who's obviously, as a film editor, probably spent some time thinking about this, said the problem with 3D is this issue called I call the convergence focus issue. Now, among other problems, 3D movies are darker. You probably noticed this when you put the glasses on, it's darker. It's not because they're sunglasses, but it's because they're, in effect, dividing the movie you're watching into two different pictures, about half the brightness. So if you feel like, gosh, things get dim when I go in the movie theater and watch a 3D movie, it's not because you're wearing sunglasses. It is dimmer. And I don't like that. He says that's theoretically solvable, but there's a bigger problem that has to do with biology. And it's constant no matter what. The audience has to focus its eyes on the screen, however far that is, let's say 80 feet away. But then the 3D illusion is at a different distance. It is not at screen distance. Maybe it's only 10 feet, like snowflakes landing in your lap. So 3D films require us to do something that millions of years of evolution have taught us not to do, to focus at one distance and have our eyes converge at a separate distance. He says all living things with eyes have always focused and converged at the same point. If we look at a salt shaker on a table close to us, we focus at 6 feet and our eyeballs converge or tilt in at 6 feet. We're looking at something 6 feet away. But that's a problem in these movies where your eyes are actually looking at something much farther away and then focusing at something closer. That's weird. It makes the brain queasy, and it's why many of us get headaches or get fatigued in 3D movies. He says you can do it, but it's like tapping your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. The CPU of your perceptual brain has to work extra hard, and all that hard work is exhausting and may even give you a headache. And I have to agree with him. And to me, ultimately, it's gimmicky. Now, I understand. I'm not in the mainstream on this. Our home theater guy, Scott Wilkinson, laughs when I say this. I just feel like what we're trying to do, I understand, which is make movies more immersive, make them feel more real. And IMAX does that with a giant screen. 3D gets in the way a little bit. Don't you agree? Having to wear those glasses, it's dimmer. It's harder work. It just gets in the way of my enjoyment of a movie. It takes me out of the movie. So, and it's a little better at home because you're closer to the screen. It is a little better at home. But I notice no manufacturer continues to put 3D in their TVs. The new crop of TVs don't have 3D. And that's because customers really didn't demand it. It was an attempt to get people to buy more TVs. Now they're moving to, I think, more effective ways of making video real and movies real. Higher resolution. That's why you're seeing 4K TV displays. They're twice as many dots in width and height. Even my phone now is 4K. The Samsung Galaxy Note, the Nexus 6, a bunch of LG G3. These newer phones are actually Ultra HD or Quad HD, because it looks better. It looks more immersive. It looks realer. The other thing filmmakers are doing, and Scott alluded to this when he talked to us about half an hour ago, or actually more like an hour ago, is they're increasing the frame rate. So movies have always been traditionally 24 frames a second. TV is 30, and we're going to 60 and even 120, and higher frame rates do make it look better. I think a lot of the newer movies are being shot at 48 frames per second, twice film. And that seems to make a difference in the feeling of reality, and that's what you're really going for. That's what you're really after. Terry in Northridge, California. You're next. Hi, Terry. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm good. I found an iPad in the street a month ago.
Oh, dear.
And I have been trying to find the owner for a month. I put ads on Craigslist. They found iPad. I called the police.
Good for you.
Call Apple. I call Apple. They tell me to. Nobody can help me. I even had a friend that worked at Apple who punched in the serial number and got me some other person's. It's not even their iPad. I have done everything. But it's disabled. The passcode's locked. Is there any way to get into this thing so I can find out who owns it?
You know what, Terry? You've done enough.
Well, I can't keep it. I mean, I would love to keep it. You know, I needed a computer and a phone, and I couldn't afford both, so I bought an LG G3, which I bought at T-Mobile. And when they took it out of the box, it had a little ding on it, and it had a couple little teeny scratches. And I said, I don't want that. Service. I want another one.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, $50 restocking fee. And they wouldn't give me another one, so I got stuck with this one.
You see? Yeah. These guys, even T-Mobile, and I praise them, but even T-Mobile, they terrible customer service. That's the worst.
Yeah, they're the worst.
We're going to charge you a restocking fee? What do you mean? I didn't even take it yet.
Well, get this. I went to Verizon, and they talked me into a $75 2-year contract. And I said, look, I'm probably going to cancel once I investigate this. The guy says, you got 2 weeks to cancel. I came in the day before. I said, you said I had 2 weeks to cancel, right? He says, yeah. I said, I need to do that. He goes, I'll give you a couple more days.
That's good customer service.
The manager said, oh, he would never say that. I said, he's standing right there. The guy's sweating like a whore in church. He admitted it. And all of a sudden, it took me months and months to fight with them. They finally released the contract. But it took 3 months of screaming on Facebook and writing them and emailing.
I'm so sorry. Well, I think, even if the police find something, after a certain point, if you've done, and it sounds like you've done the due diligence to find the owner, you've done enough. I don't think that there is any way to unlock it. So, and probably that's what the old owner wants, because there's stuff on there they don't want you to see.
Right. Well, why don't they put that? I always put a little piece of paper inside my phone case saying, email me. And there's a feature on there where they can.
I know.
They can GPS it. They can say this is my.
They didn't turn it on.
It takes time to do that, which is crazy. But now it has to go to waste, and I can't use it. Nobody can use it. That sucks. I mean, if he's not going to have it, I would love to keep it. But.
Well, you can try. What I would do is hook it up. It depends on how recent it is. If it's, and I bet you this would work. Hook it up to a computer with iTunes on it, and wipe it. Start from scratch. You can't unlock it and see what's on it, but you can wipe it. Now, there's a new thing called a kill switch. And the newer versions of Apple's operating system have this so that you can't even do that. But I bet you it's not newer. Sounds like it's not. So try that, and you should be able to wipe it and start over, and now it's yours. And you've got my blessing because you did everything you could to find the owner. You went above and beyond as far as I'm concerned.
Who wouldn't do that? The guy's whole life could be on there. I did. When I first got it, it wasn't disabled.
But the guy has done nothing. Yeah, well, timed out or whatever.
It had QuickBooks, and he sounded like he was a contractor.
Yeah, so you don't want. He probably it's for his business. It's better to say I lost it and buy a new one. I'm sure he's bought a new one by now. He'd prefer that than you seeing all of that stuff, all those financial records and stuff. That's why it's locked. It should be locked. There is a button on Find My iPhone that will wipe it if it's lost, and I bet you he's even tried to do that. So do him a favor, wipe it, and you get to keep it. I think you get to keep it because you've tried. You've done what you need to do to. Oh,
I will definitely try that.
Power.
Well, thank you for the help. I appreciate that so much. You still there?
There we go. We're still here. The power was out briefly. I don't know if you could still hear me.
I couldn't hear you. No.
Yeah. All right. You can hear me now. Anyway, you've done what you need to do, and I would say. Try hooking it up to a computer and on the iTunes, you'll have to have iTunes on it. There is a wipe this, start fresh as if it's a new one. If not, Google the words iPad DFU. This is a little bit more of a hardcore way to wipe it. And I believe you can actually wipe it and start over again. If you can't, and the newer iPads do prevent this, they have an activation switch. And that's so that there's no market for stolen iPods, iPads, or iPhones. But this doesn't sound like it has iOS 8 on it or iOS 7 even, perhaps. So see if you can recover it. And by the way, if it does have activation lock, nothing you can do. And isn't that sad? You're right. Somebody should get the value of this. But you've already got a friend at Apple, and you've contacted them, and I'm sure they've told you all of this. 88. Boy, I think you've gone above and beyond. I honor you, Terry, for working hard to try to get this back to the person. You kind of know it's a contractor. You kind of know what the story is. I would say it's time now to own that iPad. and Leo gives you permission so that your conscience can be clear. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. How did we survive that? Thank you, battery backup. Even my, all this stuff stayed on. Only the lights went out, which I would expect. The TriCasters stayed on. Apparently, Nathan, we didn't lose you, or did you redial us? Our power went off completely.
Unbelievable.
We were in the dark. Fortunately, came back within a minute. It may happen again, so you might want to queue up a repeat.
10 seconds.
It was out for 10 seconds.
I can't believe we didn't lose any connections.
And we didn't lose ISDN. My computer didn't.
I'm
you know
still
what?
In the chat room.
Pray all hail the engineering staff.
Yay!
Yay! Nice
Bonuses
job. Bonuses for everyone. I'll give you a sucker. No, we didn't lose anything. The camera's out. But that camera went out for the drop of a hat anyway.
It's the mini converters don't like to
It's the converters. They don't like to be powered. All right. That was wild.
As Mike B says, even the lower third stayed up and we were just black.
So we don't, we have UPSs, obviously, but we can't afford to keep an entire studio running for minutes or hours because it's just, with lights and everything.
Yeah, I think we got...
We have enough that we stayed on the air.
At least 5 minutes of battery backup.
Wow.
I think.
That's really great. I saw that space.com, the giant solar flare. Maybe that was it. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and, of course, smartphones. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can call us from outside that area by using Skype or Line or Tango. There's so many now ways to call us via internet. But just use that same number, and usually that doesn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. Every time I mention a link or an idea or a thought or an article, I'll put a link up there. Actually, James DeRuvo will put a link up there. Tip of the hat to him. And then we keep that up to date. The website is always free, no subscription. You don't have to enter an email address. It's just there. It's like the old days of the internet. And we've been putting all sorts of content up there. More than 1,000 shows. And it's broken up hour by hour, day by day, question by question, so you can really get to the point you want. Read my answer, watch it on video or listen on audio. You can even add your comments and thoughts. TechGuyLabs.com. So I hate email. Do you hate email? I think people have come to hate email. Email, which was good, was the most important part of the internet, and is still most of the traffic of the internet, was going to transform our lives. And it did for a minute. And then spam happened and newsletters and promotional email. And it just got so that most of the stuff you got was junk mail. Looked kind of like your home mailbox. And Google's been trying to solve this. About 10 years ago, they came out with Google Mail, or Gmail as it's known, a free solution that really, was pretty impressive. For instance, you have virtually unlimited storage there. You never have to delete an email. It has very good search. So many of us started using email as kind of a database of names of things that we had to do or we had done. I never delete email anymore unless it's, spam. And that's great. But the problem is the inbox is just getting fatter and fatter. And maybe some of you, if you've ever watched the video, you've seen me show my screen, and everybody always says, wow, Leo, 15,823 unread emails. That's a few. And it's because I can't, it's overwhelming. And yet you still need to use it. So the Gmail team at Google has come up with a new app. Now, I have to preface my remarks here by saying it is currently invitation only. And so it's rolling out very slowly. It's an app called Inbox, and it's available on iPhone, on Android, and there's a web version if you go to inbox.google.com. But you have to get an invitation from somebody. I was lucky. A friend of mine got an invitation from a Googler, and she gave me an invitation. I've slowly started sending them out. I only get 3, and I've sent out my 3, so I'm kind of trying to get, spread the word. But I have to say, this is a very impressive attempt to solve the problem of email. And now, it's probably not going to work for everyone. If you've spent a lot of time customizing your email, it might not be too useful. And of course, it's for people who use Gmail. So if you're not using Gmail, it won't be useful at all. But if you do use Gmail, and if you can find somebody who has an invite, I would highly recommend trying this. It's free. It is not going to replace Gmail, they say, but it's another interface to Gmail. And as I said, it is available both on the web and on iPhone and iOS. I've been using it since I think I got my invitation on Wednesday. And it's the first time in my life that I've been able to clear out my inbox. It's kind of brilliant. If you use Gmail, you know that there is a new setting in Gmail called Categories that is an automatic filtering and will filter stuff into social updates, promotional stuff. That's the kind of junk you don't care about. And I think they call another one forums. I don't know exactly what that means, but this filtering happens automatically. Google's pretty smart about the contents of messages and will filter them for you. Inbox takes it to the next step. They call them bundles. So I have a promos bundle or an updates bundle. It has a sweep feature. Microsoft invented this with its Outlook email, outlooks.com. A sweep feature that will sweep away stuff you don't want. So what it really is kind of an email triage system. You watch MASH, and they got the helicopter come in with all the wounded people, and they do triage. They say, we're going to fix this guy up first because he's in the mortal danger, but this guy can wait. Same thing with email. You want to be able to quickly go through it and say, this email I don't need, this email I need, this email I want to look at tomorrow, this email is something to do next week. And the system works fast and well. And once you go through a bundle, that's what they call it. So, for instance, I have a bundle of 3 updates that I received today. Once you go through that bundle and decide that, handle it all, anything you haven't pinned or snoozed, you can sweep, and it's gone. Oh, I love it. It's not completely gone. It goes into the archive, the Gmail archive, or the done box. And since Gmail doesn't make me erase stuff, I can always find it later by searching for it. But it gets it out of my inbox. I have to say, now I've read some negative reviews. I completely disagree. I think this is wonderful. Something I like, I can pin it, or I can say, hey, I don't know if I want this, but let's snooze it until next week. Or you could say, snooze it until I'm at work. You can actually pick a place and say, when I'm at work, I want to take a look at this. Or you could just say, hey, I'm done. I don't need that anymore. Let's get rid of it. The sweep is just everything that's not pinned, we're going to say done. I think very impressive attempt to solve a significant problem, which is overflowing inboxes that we just haven't found any way to deal with. And if you have that, try to get an invite. I'm sure this will become public at some point. I feel like it's really already amazing. And believe me, folks, I have tried everything to solve my email. I hate to talk about it because I understand I'm telling you something you can't get in most cases. But I'm just saying, keep your eye peeled when Google finally releases Inbox, or if you could find a friend who has an invite, you got a hipster as well connected with Google, get an invite. They may have finally solved email. And Google is saying, we believe this is the future of Gmail. The nice thing is you can use it as an interface to Gmail, but any change you make is duplicated in Gmail. You're actually working on Gmail. So if you send a message or respond to a message or delete a message, it does the same thing in the normal Gmail interface as well. I'm really impressed. And of course, a tip of the hat to companies like Mailbox, which is now known by Dropbox, because they kind of invented this idea of using your finger to swipe mail left or right. Left means pin it, right means archive it. They invented that idea too. Microsoft, who invented the idea of sweeping the inbox in Outlook.com. I mean, this is kind of a collage of some of the best techniques. But boy, it's impressive. You can get the app, but you won't be able to use it until you get the invite. You need both. And I wish they would. They did this with Gmail, and I would hope that it's not just marketing. That it's not just to get people saying, "Oh, you got to get this." I would hope it's because they want to make sure it's robust and solid, and the servers can handle it before they let millions of people in. And I do hope they will make it public soon, because it's quite impressive. You can email inbox@google.com and request an invite, and I don't know how fast they're going out. Or you can go to inbox.google.com and get an invite there. But I just want to tell you, you may read reviews that are negative. I think that mostly comes from people who have a very elaborate system they've set up over years, and they don't want to mess with it. But I, as somebody who has struggled, who has suffered with email for years, I'm blown away. I didn't think it was possible to fix this. I just didn't. And I try whenever a new email system comes out, Acompli, Mailbox, I've tried them all. And this one actually works. 8888 Ask Leo. Back to the phones we go. We got Byron on the line from Crystal Lake, Illinois. Oh, Byron, hang on. You'll be next. His Wi-Fi keeps dropping on the iPhone. And you know what? You're not alone. I'll talk about that when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Tech guy. Yeah, it doesn't change your Gmail. It's just a new way to look at it. I sent an invite. I got 3 invites. Sent one. So Gina Trapani invited me, and she used her invites up, invited me and Jeff Jarvis. And then I invited Lisa, of course, because I can't go home and say, oh, I didn't invite you. Mike Elgin and Sarah Lane. So they will each get 3 invites eventually, and then I'm hoping it'll propagate through our company. Bugs happen. Technology problems happen. And that's why I'm glad there's such things as GoToAssist. Oh, look at that. What a segue. GoToAssist.com. It is, if you're in the support business, it is a great solution for anybody who's supporting people. If you want to be a managed service provider, if you want to provide the best world-class remote access. In fact, it is, the best remote access in the world. Visit GoToAssist.com. GoToAssist has a great service desk ticketing. They have the remote support, even unattended support. They're the #1 market leader in remote support worldwide. It's easy to use, easy to install. If you support anybody, I use it to support my mom. If you support anybody, you got to try GoToAssist. It's easy to use. It sets up in less than a minute. And whether you're supporting 1 coworker or parent or 10 employees or even 1,000, it's a great solution for you. We've got a 30-day free trial awaiting you at GoToAssist.com, and just click the Try It Free button. By the way, if you purchase it before October 31st, if you purchase it, not try it free, but purchase it before October 31st, use the promo code GoToAssist3030, and you'll get 30% off the monthly rate. Team-based support, mobile device. I love it that you can support anybody from anywhere, even from your iPhone, your iPad, or your Android device. Customer-initiated support. GoToAssist.com. Click the Try It Free button. Do it. Buy it before October. Try it now, and then if you buy it before Halloween, use the offer code GoToAssist3030, and you'll get 30% off. Awesome stuff. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. And we have Byron on the line from Crystal Lake, Illinois. Hi, Byron.
Hey, Leo. I am the Byron that's always putting my 2 cents in about accessibility in your chat room.
Right on.
I can prove it. There, I just posted something in the chat room.
2 cents. Cha-ching.
Yep. So I've got a weird issue with my iPhone. I listen to podcasts at night because I can't sleep without any audio on. I just got to have talk radio on. And stuff from Twit often happens to be the thing I'm listening to.
So subliminally, I'm talking to you in your sleep.
Exactly. So what happens is, aside from the weird dreams, my Wi-Fi just cuts out sometimes. I'll wake up and no data will be getting through at all, and I shut off the Wi-Fi and turn it back on, and it's back.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
What version of iOS are you using?
I'm running iOS 8.1, the newest one.
Yeah. Intermittent Wi-Fi has been a problem on iOS for years. Partly, I think that's normal with Wi-Fi. And, for instance, when we talk to many of our guests via Skype, both on the radio show and on the podcast. It's very frequent. And we almost always say if you can avoid using Wi-Fi, do, because wireless internet has frequent dropouts. When you're surfing the web or getting email, you don't even see it. It's only when you have streaming video or audio that you see it. So that's not completely unknown. But I have to say, since iOS 7, it's been a big problem. And I see a lot of complaints from, I'm even seeing here, iPhone 4S. This is from 2 years ago on the Apple troubleshooting forums. iPhone 4S intermittent Wi-Fi issues. Still plagued by iOS 6 Wi-Fi issues? There's an old article. If you look for Wi-Fi issues, it's been going on for some time. And I think Apple is doing something odd because this is frankly a common complaint. Now, there are reasons this could happen, and it could be in the Wi-Fi software of iOS. For instance, Wi-Fi can be promiscuous. Do you have a lot of Wi-Fi signals where you are?
Actually, I live in an apartment building with mostly older people, so I think I'm the only one around here.
Really? Usually when you're in an apartment, there's dozens of other Wi-Fi signals.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes a device can be fooled and pick up another Wi-Fi access point by accident. And that will actually drop out any internet access because you don't really have access to that Wi-Fi access point. So that can happen. Is your access point near your bedroom?
Yeah, it's on the other side of the wall. I've got one of those Linksys, purple and black.
So it's in the same room. It shouldn't be a distance issue or, going through the walls issue. It could be the router itself is dropping out. It's very hard to diagnose these.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I
got a lot of work.
I would reset the Wi-Fi router and see if it's better. You probably haven't unplugged it and plugged it in again in ages.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I would do that. I would look for updates to the firmware on the Wi-Fi router. You're completely updated on iPhone, obviously. You have 8.1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there is a bug still or if this is just kind of business as usual. It may even be the way Apple design. Apple loves metal cases, and metal's death to Wi-Fi. So you notice on the new iPad, for instance, a big plastic thing at the top so that the radio signals can get out of it. I just feel like some of this is normal. Some of it can be fixed by resetting or updating the router. Some of it can be fixed by positioning. But it is annoying. I understand. And I don't know what the fix is. You're not alone, I guess is all I'm saying.
Well, thanks for the help. And would you mind if I mention a website that I'm a part
Please,
of while I'm on?
give it a plug.
My friends in the other chat room are going, mention us!
All right.
Mention our website.
What is your website?
I'm on an internet radio station called Radio Free Dish Nuts, and it's dishnuts.net, and we're kind of a big bunch of geeks like you are. We do a lot of technical stuff, too.
Dish Nuts?
Yes, because we hail from the era of doing radio through C-band satellite radio.
Yeah.
On the audio carrier way back a long time ago, and so now we're internet only, but that's why our site is dishnuts.net.
I like it. Radio Free Dish Nuts. I love you, Dish Nuts, because when we first started Tech TV in 1998, that was about the only people who could watch. People with big dishes. Hey, that's great. There's a little plug for your podcast. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Leo.
Nice to talk to you. I'll see you in the chat room. Yeah, sometimes all I can do is just make you feel you're not alone. Technology doesn't work. Let's face it. It doesn't really. When it works, it's like, wow, it worked. So don't feel like when things don't work or they're weird or something goes wrong, don't feel like something you did is wrong. It might be, but you know what? This stuff, it doesn't really work that well. You watch the ads, everybody's smiling, happy, shiny. Let's go to the cloud. And the reality of it is it's a constant frustration and nightmare, let's face it. And all we can do is hang in there together. And the fact is, when it works, it's so hideously useful, we put up with the many times it doesn't work at all. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And Nancy's on the line from Reading, Pennsylvania. Hi, Nancy.
Hello there.
How are you?
You're not only very intelligent, you're very funny.
You know why I'm intelligent? Because I said Reading right.
Yes, you did.
And you know why I said Reading right? Because I play Monopoly, and I could take a ride on the Reading Railroad.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
That's not intelligence.
Listen, you're talking to a senior citizen here, so I'm just learning this new technology. I'm getting used to it. And
Are you excited by it? I mean, is it cool for you?
Yes and no. It can be very, very frustrating.
Of course.
I used to go to the library to use the computers. Then I changed. I didn't really want a computer. I wanted something that I could take with me when I went away and take pictures.
Yep.
So I opted out for an iPad 2, which is
Good.
The cheaper one to start out with.
Perfect.
I keep updating the updates you have to do. However, with this iOS 8.2, I just had a lot of problems. I did join their tech support, so I tell you what, it's paid for itself already.
But you heard me say a minute ago, tech is frustration. We are sold this bill of goods that the sun's going to come out from behind the clouds and your whole life is going to sing and the birds will come and land on your shoulder. It's not really that way. Using technology is frustrating.
Yeah, well, that's why I paid for it, because I'm totally lost.
It's not just you, though. I mean, it's normal. This is the way it is. So we've sold people a bill of goods. It's worth it because it is kind of amazing what you can do. So what do you use your iPad for?
Okay, basically emails and searching on the internet. That's it.
Perfect.
I don't have a lot of apps on. I keep it basic because now with the iOS 8.2, I guess it took up more memory, so I didn't have enough to upload or download or whatever you call it.
Oh.
Still not into this technology terminology.
Yeah. So you're getting warnings now from your iPad that you're running out of storage?
Yes, because I called them and I said, look, they told me I had to delete a lot of things, which I did.
Yeah, because I bet you had a lot of pictures on there and stuff.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Now, fortunately, I'm able to download. Well, that's a whole other story. What I'm calling about, first of all, is, and I'm sure you're aware of this, it says if you do not back up your iOS device to iCloud for 180 days or more, Apple reserves the right to delete your device's iCloud backups.
Okay.
That's
because Apple gives you 5 gigabytes for free.
Right.
But they don't want to just leave it there if you never use it. So it's a good idea in the settings. You'll find it in your settings under iCloud to turn on iCloud backup. All that's doing is saving vital stuff out that you were going to want. If you get a new iPad, you just restore it.
Right.
Or if you lose it or whatever. So I would turn it on, and that way you don't have to worry about it.
Well, it is turned on.
Well, then you shouldn't get that warning.
It kept flashing up, so I called them and I said, what's with this? And they said, well, you either need to delete things or you need to buy, for 99 cents?
Ah, you've run out of space.
Yes.
So here's what you do. You go in there's a usage entry in the settings. Just delete everything in the iCloud and start over. Because that's just for backup anyway. There's nothing there that you want. It's just backup. Unless do you put photos there and then share them with other people and stuff? Or?
No, I don't share them with other people.
Yeah, so just delete it.
Okay, go into settings and go into iCloud.
And delete, and I think it's under usage. I'd have to look, but you're going to delete what's the contents there and start over, and then you won't get that warning anymore. So you've run out of room because it continues to back up until it runs out of room, and then it says, well, you want to buy some more. Well, you don't care that much. You don't really. You're not. I just want to make sure you're not using it like when you deleted photos from your iPad. You didn't then use iCloud for those photos or anything like that. You don't check it anytime, do you?
No, I know nothing about iCloud.
You don't even know it's there.
No.
So you just don't want to see that warning anymore.
Okay.
So go to General and I think it's Usage. And then under usage, there's battery usage, there's storage usage, and there's iCloud usage. You can see how much you've used. I have used 198 gigabytes of my 200 gigabytes. Wow. So maybe it's time for me to delete some of that, and you'll find the ability to delete that under iCloud in the settings.
Yeah, I have iCloud total storage is 5 gigabytes, and then available 3.7. But then I erased a lot of things, which I really didn't
you're good.
want
You shouldn't see that warning anymore.
No.
because you got 3.7 gigabytes left. The 5 is free. It's a come on, understand? They want you to buy more.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's plenty for just backing up settings and it's fine. That's plenty. So just delete it from time to time. You won't get that warning. What else can I do for you?
Okay. I would love to take my videos off my iPad.
Yes, you would.
And I don't have a computer.
Ooh.
It's safe to go to the library and download them to something.
I think what you want to do is get there are many free photo services that will let you store your videos on them. Like Dropbox will do that. Flickr, I think, will do that. So you want a photo storage solution. Let me just see if Flickr will do it, because Flickr's great. Flickr is free from Yahoo. It gives you a terabyte of storage. Remember, you have 5 gigabytes from iCloud. It gives you 200 times more. A terabyte free. And then you can use it to automatically back up your contents of your camera roll, including, I believe, and I'll have to check, but including, I believe, your videos. So who else does? OneDrive from Microsoft gives you 5 gigabytes. Or no, I think they give you more now to start. A lot. So Flickr will let. So these are all ways that you can back up what's on your iPad to the cloud for free, and then view them even on your iPad by just opening them up on Flickr. So I would use Flickr. I think Flickr is a great place for you to upload your photos and your videos get them off your iPad, because it's running out of room. You probably only have a 16 gig iPad, I would guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you buy a new iPad, which you're due, so whenever you feel like spending some money, buy a new iPad. Get a little more. Get 32 or 64.
Well, I just figured I'm starting out. I'll get the cheaper one.
No, I'm not saying you did the wrong thing at all.
Yeah, I know.
And in fact, these free solutions like Flickr really make it so. That's why nowadays it's not the end of the world if you don't have a lot of storage on your phone or your tablet, because you just upload it to a free solution like Flickr, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, so Flickr's in the App Store.
Yep, Flickr's free. It's from Yahoo. You'll have a Yahoo account. You can create one on the app or do it online. You don't have a computer, so you'll be doing it in the app. And then you just turn on the automatic upload feature, and all your stuff will be uploaded.
Okay, now I still am into the DVDs. How do I get them from my iPad onto a DVD? I know
you need a computer.
Okay.
You need a computer. But now, once you've got it on Flickr, you could probably find a service bureau that would take the videos from the online service and put them on a DVD. I'll have to do some research for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you using, a good question from our chat room. You are using Wi-Fi for this, right? Or are using the data plan on your iPad?
Wi-Fi.
Okay, good. Because that's free. If you were using a data plan, you'd quickly use up your bandwidth by uploading all this stuff.
Yeah, I'm one of the 15,000 of emails you didn't respond to.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, did you sent me an email? Well, I apologize. A
while ago.
I get so many. I apologize. I get so many emails from people asking for help, and I just don't have time to answer them all. I apologize.
So I'm waiting. I just figured I'm going to try and call, and
call. That's what the truth is. I want to answer these things in public, because it's not just you that's getting the answer now.
Exactly.
It's everybody listening. So it's a much better way to do this than for me to handle individual emails. I'd literally spend 8 hours a day responding to the emails if I did that.
Especially with the iCloud stuff, about the storage stuff. I mean, we have no clue all about that.
It's endless. I know. But you know what? You're doing great. You're figuring this out, and I thank you for the call. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, and we call him our Giz Wiz because he brings us gizmos and gadgets. He is the wizard of gadgetry. Hello, Dickie D.
How are you, sir?
Good to see you. You know, for years you've been the most technically literate person probably in your circle, right?
In my circle, yes.
Yeah. So I bet people come to you all the time and say, Dick, can you help me with this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Fortunately, my biggest customer is Dennis.
And he's just upstairs, so it's easy.
And he's just upstairs. Yeah.
No, it's the same with me.
His stuff is usually easy. I said, did you reboot it? And he says, wait a minute. And then he calls back 5 minutes later and goes, you're a genius. It works now.
Don't you love that one where it worked?
Yes.
I always love it where it works and they go, "It worked," and I go, "Oh yeah, of course it worked."
You know what my favorite thing is? I know you said technology doesn't work. My favorite thing, and it's sadistic, is to go to new product meetings, and the product manager forgets how to work it.
You see this all the time.
Yes, you do. And so if you want to do that, you push this, and then you push that, and then no, wait. First you push this, and then I'm thinking, wait a minute. You're the product manager.
And you don't know. I know. They often want when I get sent a new product or I'm going to review it. Well, first of all, I always buy my products whenever I can.
Yes.
But they always, I just bought at a huge price the Galaxy Note 4, for instance, $850 because I want to review it and I don't want a PR person breathing down my neck. But they always then call and say, "Well, can we give you a tour?" And my answer is no, because if a normal person who isn't going to get the product expert giving them a tour can't use it, then you don't have a good product. So I should be able to figure this out.
No, absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely.
So you bring us always some fun stuff. What do you have?
Yeah, I have something fun. This goes right into our product with the longest name category.
Okay.
It is, there was an event in the city called the Time to Play Holiday Show Spectacular. And I found the Kid Tracks, Kid T-R-A-X. So the official title is the Kid Tracks Kia Soul Sing-Along DJ Ride-On Car. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it turns out that if you are a kid, I mean, I love this thing. So it has digital engine sounds and horn sounds, working car doors. It has iPod jacks both in the cabin that can ride 2 kids and in the pop-up trunk. The pop-up trunk has a stereo system with dual microphones so that you can have karaoke.
Holy moly.
The speakers in the trunk have 100 LEDs that can dance along with the music. It can run at 2.5 miles an hour or 5 miles an hour.
We should be clear, this is a kid car.
This is a kid car, Leah.
Yeah.
Right. It has headlights. It has underbody lights so that, the under the car, it glows blue. It runs on a 12-volt battery. It is pretty nifty.
I always wanted these. When I was a kid, I always wanted a battery-operated car.
Yeah.
My kids always wanted a battery-operated car. We never, because they're too expensive. It's like buying a car.
Expensive. Yeah. Well, not quite, but yeah, it's $400, $399.
That's actually a lot better than I would expect.
It is. It is. It has a lot of features. It is shipping early November. It's going to be Toys R Us only, but you do get a lot of play value with this. And it's easy to park. I'm actually considering one because there's a little place outside
Great
my
for
door.
New York City. Now, in fact, even traveling 2.5 miles an hour isn't really a problem downtown.
No.
It's about traffic speed.
Absolutely. And it has 5 miles an hour, too, for, I guess, country driving. So,
it looks pretty sweet. I have to say, I want this.
Yeah, I know. It is really neat.
I
It
could
has
use
an
it to
FM.
drive around the studio.
Yeah, perfectly. Perfect. I see a reason to buy one.
I'm very tempted.
I think you should.
I'm the kid now. I'm the kid now.
Yeah, I know. When I walked in the place, I said to the woman, "Where is that car with the DJ thing built in? That's the first thing I want to see."
It's awesome.
Yeah.
The Kid Tracks Kia Sing-Along Soul 12-volt ride-on. And it's at
DJ
toysrus.com. You could pre-order it now. It'll be out a little later on. I guess in time for
3
Christmas.
colors. I don't know if I should get the rust proofing or not. I
The
haven't
underbody
decided.
protection is so very important, Dick.
Oh,
and you
maybe I
might
will.
want the 5-year service plan.
Yeah, and maybe air conditioning for the summer.
You'll find Dick at gizwiz.biz. That's his website, gizwiz.biz. You can find out more about the Kid Tracks. You could find out more about his appearances on ABC World News Now and all the gadgets he talks about, including on his podcast, The GizWiz, on our network, at gizwiz.biz. But the best thing to do is play the What the Heck Is It contest because it's a close-up picture of a gadget. You have till the end of this month, like five or 6 more days, and then it's over. And if you get it right, you have a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. But the good news is if you get it wrong, you have an even better chance of winning an autographed copy of Mad Magazine, autographed by this guy right here, Mad's maddest writer, Dick DiBartolo. Thank you, Dick.
Thank you, sir.
Stick around. The Giz Fizz coming up. Cindy's in Los Angeles. I think this will be our last one. Hi, Cindy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Cindy, are you there? Cindy, do you care?
Hello.
Hi, Cindy. What can I do for you?
Hi, Leo. I had a question about a USB drive that I work as an independent contractor, and we have a laptop specifications that the company's given us to use with the USB drive. The problem is that in order to use this drive, you have to go into like the boot systems, like before that comes up, you like do F2, and you go in and you change some settings like legacy and other things.
Right.
And supposedly, after you're finished with this and you log out, your computer goes back to your Windows systems, or you reverse the settings to go back to your Windows.
You probably have to reverse the settings to boot again. Yeah.
I do reverse the settings, but my Windows has not come back up. It keeps saying no Windows.
Isn't that nice?
My company's telling me, no, this is not the problem. It's your laptop.
No, it's not. It's their problem. So what they're doing is they're making you boot up from this USB device, so you're running their operating system, their settings, and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so in order to do that, do you have a Windows 8 computer?
I do.
Yeah, that's why. Because the newer computers use a boot system it's called Secure Boot that protects you from doing this, because what they don't want you to do is boot to a malicious operating system that modifies your computer. So secure boot means it can't boot to anything else unless you specifically give it permission, and you do that by going into the BIOS setup, as you've done, and turning off secure boot, and maybe doing it sounds like you had to turn on legacy operating system, things like that.
Right.
If you reverse that and unplug the USB drive, the computer should say, oh, I'm just booting my regular operating. In fact, you may not need to reverse it if you just unplug the USB drive. Have you unplugged it?
I did. I have unplugged it, and it worked the very first time. I just reversed the settings, and I went back. And
but it won't work now.
And I was
you know what? We're out of time. Hang on. I'm going to talk to you off the air because we're out of time here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great geek week, will you? Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. I'm going to continue to finish up here with Cindy. Sorry about that, Cindy. We just ran out of time.
That's fine.
But I am going to take time out of my personal schedule to help you.
Thank you, because I'm going crazy.
I don't blame you. I'm not sure what's wrong, so the first time you did it, it worked fine. You turned off everything, and it came back.
And I came back, and I was back in Windows. I had everything. Now I go back. My computer's just blank. It's black. There's nothing. And then if I hit the screen, it'll say no boot drive or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes it'll just pop up like your Windows systems didn't load properly and redo it. But I'm afraid to do anything.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I think you could be. Is this your employer or is somebody you contract for?
I contract with.
And they're not being helpful.
They're saying no, that their USB drive is not designed to do that. But I also know that my friend, hers does go back, but she can't use her keyboard. She has to take a separate big keyboard to plug in because whatever's happening is not letting her do that. So I'm afraid that. And my computer's a year old, so Dell's been wonderful. They walked me through it, but then they're like, okay, at this point, we just have to reset it. And, of course, you'll have to pay for our support.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
To pay.
Well, I'd be very mad at this company, and I understand you have no recourse because you're a contractor, but I'd be very angry at this company. This is terrible.
I am.
What is the company?
Lexus.
Oh, like the Lexis, the law library, the online law library.
Yeah.
Yeah, or new Lexis and Nexus.
Lexis Nexus, yeah. And so they have contacts all over the country, and we've all been told to do this. And
First of all, why
the laptops that we had to use, because we've been using company-provided laptops, but they're like, no, we don't want. We want you to purchase your own laptops now, which was fine and dandy. Like my computer's, it's a year old, so it came out of warranty in
That's
August.
so frustrating. First of all, if they want you to boot to their own OS and their own system, and I could see why they might want to do that, they can configure it and stuff, but that's just because they're too cheap to give you a laptop. And now they've hosed your laptop.
Exactly.
That's just horrible.
It is horrible because they've taken it. And it's like, I can't use anything but their program right now. And I'm afraid to continue to go back and forth because I understand it's just, the computer gets confused.
Well, I don't, as long as you reversed all the things properly, I mean, in principle, what they're doing is okay. You know, because you wouldn't have to go through this rigmarole on an older system like a Windows 7 system because it doesn't have this secure boot ROM stuff. It would just boot to whatever you gave it. But that was a security issue, so Microsoft said, oh, well, we're going to prevent that in Windows 8. In Windows 8 hardware, we're going to do a secure boot system, and that makes sense. So you can't just boot up to some malicious operating system. But I am just curious as to what they're doing and why it would mess it up, and why LexisNexis isn't being more helpful. Because it's clear
they're not.
Their IT guy just says, "Oh, it's your fault."
Yeah, they told me that it has to be the computer to call Dell, but I did call Dell, and they went through the whole thing and said, no, you have to redo it. But they said you shouldn't be going back and forth anyway.
It's a bad thing to do, but it isn't. But if done right, it isn't. It's not horrific. It sounds like they did something to screw up something on your system, but I don't know. You're sure that you've gone through all the settings you reversed and fixed them?
I'm positive. I've done it. I've tried several times.
So you looked at the list of things they said to change.
I did.
And you went backwards through all of them.
I went back through all of it, and this time it's not taking it. And I know that when I talked to the Lexus support, they said, yeah, well, there's some other contractors that are having this problem, and they just kind of said, oh, well, my work is more important, so you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision what you're going to do.
They're too cheap to buy you a laptop. That's why this happens, because they are too cheap.
We have their laptops already, but now they want the laptop. I've had this laptop for years, and it's an old system, and it does nothing but their program.
Right.
So I don't understand why all of a sudden they wanted to change that, because they did have it, but whatever the case may be. And they were so specific about the laptop that we needed to purchase. There were no Macs. There was no Toshibas. It had to have this specifications.
Oh, they even told you what to buy.
They told us exactly what to buy. You have to make sure it does this in order to run our program. So
I'm starting to hate them just a little bit.
I mean, I'm really frustrated with them. And
so, unfortunately, no. I think the solution is what Dell told you. You don't have to pay them to do it. Did they give you any discs? When the computer came, it came with some discs, right?
Yes. You
could probably reset the computer. So, set the settings, all the settings. What you probably can do is make sure you've got the settings back to the way it was supposed to be, not what LexisNexis told you, but the opposite, right?
Okay.
And then put the recovery disk in there. As it runs, there will be a point where you can repair. In fact, the chat room can help me out here. Isn't there in Windows 8, in the menu structure, there's a repair? There is. I know there is.
Sometimes there's something that comes up that says repair, and it says if you don't know what you're doing, contact someone who does, and because it gives you some advanced options.
Yeah, no, there's along with all of this, one of the things Microsoft did is have Windows 8 now has a self-repair feature. There's a couple of things you can do. One is you can repair it. The other is you can restore it to its original factory state. And you don't need disks, come to think of it, anymore, because the Dell has that all built in. It's in the menu system.
Okay.
You certainly should back up. You should certainly back up all the contents of your documents and your pictures and your music file and anything you put on there. Make sure you copy that off.
Well, how will I get to it? Because I can't. Nothing comes up. I can't get in there. Exactly. I can't get in there to copy anything.
Can you pull the battery on this? Do you have access to the battery on it?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can.
All right. So here's a solution, and I think it might be a good one from our chat room. Power it, unplug it. Power it down, unplug it, pull the battery, let it sit for a while. What we're going to hope is everything goes back to normal. Because it's not being...
I know when the Dell rep the Dell tech had me do that, but it didn't sit for a while. I mean, they were on the phone, and they were like, okay, let's take the battery out.
And it didn't fix it.
No, wait like 30 seconds. No. So maybe a longer period of time, maybe the battery needs to be out.
No. If even 10 seconds. The other thing you do is, in this BIOS setup, there should be a reset to defaults.
Okay.
So where you go in to turn off secure boot and legacy and all that, look for a reset to defaults. I don't know why the Dell guy didn't have you do this, but I would do that.
Okay.
What that'll do is it'll put it all back to the way it was. Now, if it still won't boot up, then something, probably the Lexus system, mangled something on your hard drive, which is very frustrating.
Yes, very frustrating. That's what I'm afraid of.
And, well, I'm hoping not. But so first try that. Try to reset the BIOS settings. Get into the repair menu. I can't remember where it is on Windows 8. I don't have Windows 8 in front of me, but somewhere in there's a repair menu in the control panel in the settings, and repair your Windows 8.
Okay.
They're saying in the chat room, and I hope this isn't true, that it removed the key from the boot ROM, which would keep you from booting up. And that's in other words, the BIOS is no longer trusted. Why it would do that is beyond me. But if that's the case, you're kind of messed up.
Then I'm just doomed to...
Well, you're not doomed. What you want to find is somebody smart that you can trust, because he could fix it. And there is, and I'll put this up here, but there is and thank you, chat room, for this link. There is on Windows support system, Windows 8.1 Secure Boot Key Creation and Management Guide. I don't know. This is pretty high end. This is for OEMs. But this has to do with what might have happened to your secure boot. Shouldn't have happened. If it did, it is LexisNexis's fault, not yours. Yeah, this isn't going to be much use to you. This is really for OEMs. I would try to find somebody smart, not the Best Buy Geek Squad.
Okay.
Is there somebody, like some kind of little shop somewhere in the corner there with a really intelligent guy surrounded by a lot of parts? You need a smart geek, and if you explain fully what happened, I think somebody can sit down with that laptop and fix it. But but what happened is not good, and I'm peeved and miffed and angry at LexisNexis because this is a terrible way to do it. It's a terrible idea, and they should not be doing this to their contractors. And if they do, they should help you fix it.
Right. I definitely agree. It's been
if you used a Windows 7 machine, this would not happen.
See, and then my friend that I'm talking about, that her laptop doesn't work. She does have Windows 7. So hers does go back. And she even told me, she says, oh, you know what's really strange? She said, well, he told me it's a good thing you don't have Windows 8 because yours goes right back. So I feel like they kind of knew this was going to be an issue.
Yeah. They told you to buy secure boot computers, and then they made you do this? That's terrible.
Exactly.
I am so sorry this happened to you. You need somebody pretty sophisticated who can sit down there and fix this, but it is fixable.
Okay. And then since it is fixable, does that mean that I should be able to go back and forth safely? That's what, because I don't know that.
I don't know because it sounds like the Lexus boot did something weird, and probably if it did, it'll do it again.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's why I was so paid down, for an extended service. When I do it, it go back and happen again.
And it's no longer under warranty with Dell.
No, it came out in August.
Of course.
Of course. But they were wonderful. They were very helpful. And he took a lot of time with me anyway.
Well, he should, and I feel
everything that he tried.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, well, we've got to do some other.
Well, what
things.
they did is the stuff, kind of the stuff I was talking about, which is to say, oh, well, let's see if this is still okay. It does sound like, I have to say, it really sounds like the LexisNexis boot up thing did something to your computer, like erased some key file or something. It's really frustrating.
It's very.
I'm sorry.
Well, thank you.
I
I just appreciate your help because I'm just so frustrated when
I don't blame you.
I've just given up talking to them completely. I was like, I'm just going outside of this because they're no help. They're just concerned naturally about, send the work in and use it. It doesn't matter. Just,
they don't care.
They don't care.
They're a heartless company. That's why they use contractors. They don't want to pay you benefits.
Exactly.
They're a heartless company.
They're very heartless, and they're becoming more and more heartless, and I've been with them for quite a long time.
I'm so sorry, Cindy. That's terrible. Do you do transcriptions or something? What do you do for them?
No, I actually do their collection for their they contract with the credit reporting agency, so I get that information that goes onto the credit report.
Well, I wish, call somebody, get another job. These people are schmoes.
They truly are.
I'm very disappointed, and I feel bad for a working person, just trying to work, just trying to make a living, and these big companies, they don't care.
No, they don't care whatsoever.
They don't care.
They're just like, get this and do this and now.
It's shocking.
Now it's like, okay, well, you're on your own, basically.
You know how much they charge lawyers for Lexis? Well, you do because you're collecting the debt. You're talking to deadbeats. Oh, Cindy, I'm sorry. I really feel bad. That's just terrible, and I just wish I had a better solution for you.
I feel bad. I feel bad for the people who actually went out and bought laptops and they're having this problem because they know that it's a problem. And like I said, he's told me, we worked with one girl for 3 weeks, couldn't get it fixed.
It's just something they did wrong, but they don't want to cop to it.
Exactly, they don't want to cop to it. He was even saying, the one tech guy that I'm talking to, like, well, that's really not my issue getting it back to that. I'm just like the BIOS, like the USB person. That's what he told me. I'm just there to, troubleshoot that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Cindy.
Your Windows.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So, like my Microsoft Office, and I'm like, that is all, everything's in there, and I can't get anything.
I'm sorry, Cindy.
Oh, God. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to look for someone in a small little geeky office.
Yeah, some guy.
Yeah, well, I can probably help you here. Let me take a look at it. That's what you want. I don't.
Take it apart, rebuild it.
That's right, and I can help you. I know that.
Just say that just tell this story. Say my employer required me to turn off Secure Boot to boot up to their own operating system. Now when I turn it on, I can't boot Windows 8. Can you help me? And if he goes, oh yeah, I can help you, then if he from that sentence understands it, she should be able to help you.
Okay, great.
Sorry, Cindy.
All right. Well, thank you for your help, Leo. If you take the time to talk with me.
My pleasure. Take care.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too. Bye, Cindy.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.